guys, it's Tozyro here. Sorry, let me just close my wardrobe. By the way, look how green it is. So many green clothes, earthy, you know, that's what I'm trying to aim for. Lots of green, lots of earthy coloured clothes. And I think I'm achieving that, to be honest. Anyway, as I was saying, it's Tozyro here, and I get lots of messages from people asking me, particularly on Instagram, what is the best starting point of growing your hair out? By the way, if you're not following me on Instagram yet, go give me a follow. Help me reach 4,000 followers. It would mean a lot to me, and you guys can keep in track as to how my day is looking every single time I post a new photo. Of course, also don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I'm currently 7.5 months into my 1 year of hair growth. If you guys want to see how that's looking like and how that's going to be, don't forget to subscribe and click the bell too. Okay, but first, before we talk about what the best starting point is for hair growth, we need to actually define what a starting point is. So the way that I see it, a starting point is essentially the point in time during your hair growth which you kind of stop and you think to yourself, right, I'm going to grow my hair out. I'm planning on growing my hair out. And that typically happens normally when the hair is quite short. And specifically in this video, what I'm going to refer to is this part here, the top part of the hair, because many times when there's that starting point, what happens is the side and the back are quite short, but it's usually the top that varies in length. So essentially, what is the optimal length to have the top when you're growing your hair out? And by the way, there's 3. I'm going to explore all 3 of those. I'm going to talk you through those. I've grown my hair from all of those 3 points. And in the end, I will give you an overall best one for you to go for if you're trying to go for that one. So yeah, I'll give you my opinion and what I believe that you guys should do in response to that. So the first one, of course, is the buzz cut. You would essentially have the hair trimmed very shortly, maybe a grade 0 to a grade 3, 4. Essentially, it's very short. It's barely coming down here. The second one, which I have in mind, is medium length, and the third one, of course, is long/very long. That's when you have it coming down to about here, and maybe even going down. The one that I did myself, my hair was coming about here, so it was coming down just below my chin. So that, of course, is very long. Of course, there's a little bits in between. You can have a medium/short. It's essentially kind of like a
6.5 hours later.
It's kind of like a spectrum, if you will. So there's the different variations. And I'm actually doing one of those right now. And I want to see if you guys can tell by how my hair looks like right now, which one I did. If it's the first one, which is short, the second one, which is medium, and the third one, which is long. So how was my fringe like before I grew out my hair? Let's test that. Let's see if you guys can guess which one it is. And at the end of the video, I'll reveal the answer. So go ahead and write that down in the comments. So let's start off with the buzz cut. Of course, as I said, you get your hair normally trimmed with a clipper or it's very short. What does that mean when you're growing out your hair? It means that you have the shortest hair possible, so you can't really do that much with it unless just obviously grow it out. Your hair will look like a wave, which essentially it's almost all the same length. What you have to do is you have to kind of make sure that your hair doesn't look awkward if you're growing it all from this stage. Growing your hair out from a buzz cut can be very difficult, particularly the first 3 months. It's going to look scruffy. You're just going to be very tempted to at least clean up the sides a little bit, to shave the sides and to just do something about it other than just simply grow it out. It's a very big temptation that you're going to get when you're growing your hair out from a buzz cut. And so you need to really resist those temptations. One of the things which I find very interesting about growing your hair out from the buzz cut is you get a true feel for how your hair grows like. Your hair is growing at a proportional rate throughout, and obviously from the sides and from the back. And you know, I actually find that it's a very interesting conversation started as well, surprisingly. So if you just go up to someone and they're like, yeah, you've got long hair, you can say, yeah, I buzzed my hair so and so months ago. So then, you know, it's interesting because you can almost talk about it, especially if you've actually had no cuts since that. It's almost like really interesting because you can see how your hair looks like purely, almost as if, you know, you went from 0 all the way to where you are now. So there's definitely these interesting factors about it, and I personally would recommend trying that out. You know, just there's something about just getting a completely clean cut, you know, going for a buzz cut. And by the way, if you guys are wondering whether you should get the buzz cut or not, I did make a video about it, and I'm going to leave that down in the description below. If any of you guys are thinking about going for that buzz cut or from growing your hair out from the buzz cut, I will leave that below. Yeah, essentially it's got its pros and its cons. It's bearable. You can do something about it, but I would say that the first few months are quite tough. I will say that, but normally once you get over the first 4 to 5 months or so, then it starts looking a lot better. Okay, the second one that I'm going to talk about is the medium length. So it's essentially, you know, when your hair is kind of like starting, it's no longer just like up here, or it's no longer like really close to the forehead, but it's actually coming down a little bit more, going towards the eyebrow, maybe going towards the eyes. And this is the most common point in which people grow out their hairs. And of course, I've done this one too. What do I think of it? This is the classic method of growing out your hair. This way is, it grows out your hair at such a proportional rate. You essentially have this thing where your hair is growing out, but the top still looks normal. You know what I mean? So the top is still, it still kind of looks like what a normal haircut would look like. And so you can almost just have the top as it normally is, and then the sides and the back just start growing out, and then obviously the top starts following along. But the top has an advantage, and what that means is the hair just falls back. And this normally happens to people that have straight/wavy hair like I do. My best friend who does have wavier hair than me, his hair is a lot curlier than mine. But essentially, when he started growing out his hair, the top was longer. And now the way that it looks right now is this very nice, slicked back look. Because the top is that much longer, that it's got that weight, so it just falls back down. So what happens with his hair is, when he's styling his hair, he can do what I think is personally the nicest thing that you can do at that point, which is just to leave that back and then have the sides coming out. Me and him actually have like quite similar hair. But yeah, that's what I think. I think it is quite a good one. Of course, the cons is what you don't get with a buzz cut, which is obviously you can't actually properly get a feel as to what your hair looks like from the very beginning, which again, it's not a bad thing. It depends about completely what you want to do. And that's the whole reason behind this video, is to see what you want to do and what you think is best. So finally, we're going to get to the most unusual one, and the one which I would say is the most rare, which is to have your hair quite long. Talking about lips and below, you know, as I said, I had it down to here. How does that work? Can you grow your hair out from that point? Short answer is yes, of course you can grow out your hair from that point. But how does it look like? So when I tried growing out my hair in that way before, when I had the top really long, the way that it worked is I got my hair cut for the first time, you know, and then I just kept shaving the sides, kept getting the sides shaved 0.5 to whatever it was, and I just left the top because I just couldn't be bothered to cut it. And I kept leaving it for all of these months, and then it got really long. So long that I could tie it up, so you guys can have a sense as to what that means. So I could essentially like tie the whole bit up like this, and I told you guys to guess, but I don't know, I don't think any of you would imagine it to be the really long one, because, I mean, you'd be able to tell if it was the really long one. No, I don't know. Either way, if you guessed that, then, you know, that's absolutely fine. That's your guess, and that's absolutely fine, as I said. But essentially, when I tried that out, what I found out is that it looks very much in proportionate. So when you're growing out your hair, you have the top being very long, and, you know, when the top looks very long and the sides and the back look a lot shorter, that doesn't, like, in my opinion, that doesn't look as good. It depends how long you have the sides. I believe that if the sides are long enough, then it can look nice. But if you're thinking about growing a very long top, just this bit here, not all of this, keep in mind, it's not like this, it's just this bit here, just this top bit here. If you're growing out your hair, from it being really long up there to being like a grade 0.5 on the sides, and then it starts getting scruffy on the sides and on the back, in my opinion, it's not going to look the nicest. But then again, this is the overall place which I wanted to get to. Do you know why this one has a huge advantage over the others in this particular area? When your hair is really long, you can do whatever you want with it. If you have really long hair at the top, you can trim it to whatever length you want. Did you think about that? I bet you didn't think about that. Well, maybe you did. If you have your hair really long and you say, hey, I want to get my hair to a medium-sized length, so let's say it's like here or whatever, you can do that. If you want to get your hair cut up to here, you can do that. Personally, what I did is, when I had my hair like really long down to here, I got it cut to about a medium length. So it was about here. And that was one of the many hair growths that I've done in which I did that. So I started off trying to do with the long, but I just said, I can't do this. You know, it looks very much improportionate, and I wasn't too bothered about cutting the top. And this also has another advantage, which is that you can tie up the top. Now, when your hair gets to a stage about, I'd say like 5 months in, and the sides and the back start looking longer, tying the top can look very nice. It can look stylish, and it's definitely a look which you can do. And it looks good when you can tie up. That's a goal that many people have. And most importantly, when you're trying to do a man bun, which of course comes to about the 1 to 1 point, that's to get kind of like a messy bun in. But if you want to get like a man bun, it takes about a year and 2-3 months roughly. If you have long hair, that really helps out with that, because what that means is you don't have to do the bun all the way up here like high. You can do it much more lower here, which means that the rest of the hair can also like catch up, of course. So essentially it can actually prove an advantage in that sense, but in the other senses which I mentioned, I don't think it is necessarily the best. So final thoughts, what do I think is the order roughly? It's a hard one. Just before I get into that, this is your final chance to have a guess as to which one of those my hair was. Did I start growing it out from short, medium, or long? Final guess, and I will review it in 3, 2, 1. Buzz cut. I started growing out my hair from a buzz cut. It was very short, and this is the first time I've had a buzz cut in my life. And there's clearly problems with my hair. And I can talk about these now, okay? So, for example, it looks, it's not that long. Sometimes my hair just falls down, it's coming to about here now. In order to have my hair going back, I need to put products in it. If my hair was longer, it could probably stay back a little bit easier. And again, the first 3 months were quite difficult, not gonna lie. The temptation to just shave the sides or to do something like that was very much there. But I stuck to it because I'm trying to make a 1-year growth video. Once again, if you're not subscribed, subscribe so you can see that it's almost coming out, just a few more months. And for you to accompany me in that journey, that would be amazing. So yeah, I did a buzz cut this time around, but once again, I've done all of them. And the order in which I would say that it is the best is, I would say that the growing out your hair from when it's really long at the top, I don't think it's going to look nice unless you're planning on trimming it. So I would personally put that one in third. It depends, obviously, but generally speaking, if it's lips and below, it's going to look disproportionate. And I would recommend getting your trim to at least about like here, so like a medium size. The second one, which I would say, is the buzz cut. So growing out your hair from the buzz cut, as I said, the first few months can be very grueling, and you're going to look scruffy, even if you're trying to make your hair look good. So that's the thing, it makes it look like you're not taking care of your haircut, and sometimes it makes it look like you're not taking care of your appearance, and there's nothing you can do about it, because guess what? The fringe, it's going to do what it wants. It's going to go whatever direction it wants, and the most that you can do, if you really want to, is wear a hat. So then that's why I'm putting it on number 2, because there's not really much that you can do it for the first few months. And once your hair does grow out a little bit more like mine, again, comparing me to my best friend grew his from medium. He can just slick it back. Mine, again, it's not terrible, but if I not had products on my hair, it would just be falling down like this, coming down here, and then because I'm doing a side parting, and this parting will be coming down here, and I want it to look like this. And it's hard for it to look like this when the top isn't long enough. And when I'm looking into doing a man bun, I'm going to struggle with that, because the top isn't going to be able to reach here or here, which is going to be the ideal area. And that gets me into number 1, which is growing out your hair from a medium length, which is about like here to like here, just around this like nose area, possibly the eyes and below. Look, at the beginning, your hair is going to look fine. And then once you start putting it back like this, and the sides just grow out like on the sides and on the back, and I've done that before, and that is the easiest way to grow out your hair and the easiest way to overcome the awkward phase. I also made another video about the awkward phase, which I'll also link down below. But essentially, if you have your hair slicked back on the top and you're just growing it out from maybe like medium length, the awkward phase becomes a breeze. Not to mention how later on down the line, it's easier for you to get the man bun. And overall, I would say that's the ideal way. Does that mean that you need to necessarily trim your hair or to cut your hair in order to get whatever length you want? No. Later on down the line, you can cut your hair if you want to. You know what I mean? If you've got if you're not sure if your hair is too long or whatever, grow your hair. Once it gets to that stage, it's tomorrow's problem. You can deal with that then. But that's it for me, guys. Once again, don't forget to subscribe and to follow me on Instagram. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all later. Bye.